Yo, what up? Welcome back to Ambitious Curiosity, man. Today I just wanted to talk about the profile in your human design. So, when you get your free human design chart, you can get it for free, you'll have two numbers. It'll be two lines that show up in your chart, and that makes up your profile. And the first number is the unconscious or the conscious number, which you probably would be able to articulate better off the top. You would know what that is. And then your second number is unconscious, so that might be something that takes a little bit longer for you to be able to articulate or discover about yourself. You might just have to be told about it over, altogether. But usually they say you're able to figure that part out around like between like 30 to 50 or something. So I guess it depends. Or if you know now, well, you ain't got to wait that long, For my profile, the 3 and the 5. And the 3 is characterized by the martyr, 5 is characterized by the heretic. So 3, what a martyr is, right? Usually somebody that goes forth and takes the fall, or tends to be a scapegoat. Let's say that. Just use that word, scapegoat. So it's all about experimentation. It's all about trial and error, figuring out what works, what doesn't work, and then being able to communicate those things to hopefully better something or somebody, and then you got the 5 and the 3-5. 5 is characterized, some people call it a savior, right? Jesus, they said that Jesus probably had a 5th line, right? Because people look to you usually to be able to solve some problems for them or to do something for them. You usually looked at as a resource to get something done. And that's something that people project onto you. So it's a heavy on a projection line. The 5th line being a heavy projection line. And then it also represents being able to be a leader or somebody that is trusted to lead other people. And so that's kind of like a general overview, the 3-5 profile. It is contradictory, right? Because on one hand, you have someone who has to experiment to be able to acclimate or to be able to offer anything. And then you got the 5th line where people project and expect you to have something to offer, or more specifically, whatever they think that you have to offer. And yeah, very contradictory because it's fighting itself, and a lot of times in those projections, people won't understand that you have to experiment first, that you have to go get the knowledge first, you have to go through the motion, or they won't understand the trial and error portion when you're going through and you're in the process of figuring things out. They just expect you to be able to do something for them already, and yeah, because of the whole contradiction, you might even feel contradicted yourself, right? Because you feel like you're a person that has the answers. You feel like you can help people. You feel like you can do these things even, probably project onto yourself. And then when it comes to having to, go through a process before you can actually get to that point, that may feel like, like, man, why do I keep doing this stuff? Like, I know coming up, I use this example a lot, and once I found out I was a 3-5 profile, it made a lot of sense. I would talk about like, man, I would feel kind of bad growing up as a kid because I had so many interests. I had a lot of different interests, a lot of different things that I would do. Or, it'd be like, oh, what's this? Or what's that? I would just keep going, keep trying stuff. And my mom never like talked bad about it. She never discouraged me to keep trying she never discouraged me at all. She was very encouraging when it came to that, and she just pretty much encouraged me to just try different stuff. If I had an interest in something, she'd be like, okay, what I'm saying, go check it out or whatever. I had an interest in this, okay, let's go check it out. And she pretty much still is like that now. And I'm grateful for that because I felt bad because I felt like I would be dragging her along with different stuff, or I would say that I was interested in this one thing, and then a month later I got a whole different interest. But shout out to her for not discouraging me, because that probably could have been detrimental, because I'm already being hard on myself, and then you being hard on me too, So yeah, it can feel kind of contradictory because you want to be able to step up and do, and there's a process to it. So we gotta respect your process. So the other thing is, it's not only is it contradictory for you, but for others as well, because they expecting you to just have it all, and then going deeper into the 5th line, that projection is something serious. Just because it's the second one and it's unconscious does not make it any less effective. If you have the line, you have the line. It's just whether or not you have the line. And so I would encourage people to, if you do have a 3-5, or if you got 3 in your lines, if you got a 5 in your lines, whatever, for the 3 at least, I would encourage you to experiment. Keep experimenting. Don't be hard on yourself for having to experiment, because that's how you process. That's how you bring value to people, you know? You have to be able to go through your specific process so you can be productive. And you'll feel like your best self when you allow yourself to be able to just experiment, you know? And it can be hard too, especially if you have like other things in your charts, you know, any other chart that might contradict itself too, outside of this whole 3-5. You'll have other parts that just be, you know, it just feels so contradictory, you know? And you might even feel a little crazy because you got to go through your process, but it's okay. Once you find out, once you can confirm that, and there's people probably watching this now that probably have those elements, you know, maybe you didn't go and confirm that you have a 3-5, but it just sounds familiar, you know, it sounds like something that you've been dealing with. You probably do have a third line, but it's okay, man. It is okay. Just go through your process, get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because the third gate in human design talks about how chaotic it is. Because you might be like, man, why do I keep having to experiment? Why do I keep having to experiment? That's just the way you was designed, bro. That's the way you came out the womb. You know, this human design stuff, this is how you came out the womb. So you've always been this person. So it's in your best interest to stop fighting yourself, right? Whether it's fighting yourself because you don't want to do it, or beating yourself up because it's like, man, why do I keep, you know, don't beat yourself up, you know? And then for the 5th line, you are going to have to set some boundaries with folks. You're going to have to set some boundaries with folks, okay? Because that 5th line is something lethal, all right? People naturally project onto you, and it happens all the time with anybody. It don't matter who it is. Ain't no respect to persons. It's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? So you need to make sure that you're being very communicative with people, no matter who it is, and letting them know what you can do and what you can't do, you know? Because they're going to assume that you can. And they're going to wonder, they're going to look at you crazy, like, why you not doing this and that? I never told you I could do that. You thought I could, you know? But because you know, right? If you know you got that 5th line, whether it's the first, the unconscious or the conscious, since you know that, now it's up to you to move accordingly, because you're going to have to play, like, you're going to have to play a lot of defense. You're going to have to play a lot of defense with this shit, you know? And those expectations go beyond what is like what should be necessary, what should be normal. Like, people will expect you to just give every drop of yourself, and if you don't, you know, they call it the heretic, right? And you know, with heretics, a lot of times they'll burn you at the stake. They will burn you at the stake because you didn't do something that they expected you to do, and y'all never had a conversation about this, you know? So you got to be real careful with that 5th line. You got to watch your back. You have to be proactive with that 5th line, because if you don't, you're going to wind up in a lot of situations where people are putting blame on you for stuff, and they're, you know, pointing the finger at you, and, you know, it was never your responsibility. It was never your fault. But they think it is, though. They think it should have been, you know, they think you should have did more, or they think you should have did less, or they think you should have did something that wasn't happening, you know? So you just got to watch it back, man. But this is why I always say it's so important to know yourself. Of course, knowing yourself outside of these titles and outside of these, you know, these groupings and everything like that. But once you have, you know, a name to put to a lot of stuff, once you can be able to articulate these things, because you'll find out that once you go down the pipeline with, you know, like numerology, human design, you know, astrology, all that stuff like that, a lot of things will look familiar. Of course, because it's you should know some of these elements about yourself. But being able to articulate those things is so much different. I'm telling you, the way I talk to people now about myself, I'm able to really articulate the experience that I'm having. And I know being able to do that is also going to help somebody else, because they can be like, you know what? That sounds familiar. You know, that sounds like what I'm going through. But you would never have brought it up if you didn't know, like, or if you weren't able to really articulate. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, it's just one of the things. Know yourself. You know, access to this information is very much free. You know, you only get into the paying for stuff when you get into like real in-depth information. So after you get all the regular stuff out the way, you know, like with your human design, it's gonna be free to find out what your energy type is. It's gonna be free to find out what your profile is, what your authority is, you know, even what your your strategy is, because your strategy is related to your authority anyway. And even find out like what gates you have, what channels and stuff like that. Your channels is connecting gates, and your gates is like your elements and stuff like that of who you are. So I don't think there's like a limit to the gates, but I'm not gonna get too much into that right now, you know what I'm saying, because I can probably go for another little bit, but I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, knowing yourself, life just becomes just the slightest bit easier, just because you can talk about it, you can understand it on a deeper level. So yeah, find that stuff out. If y'all need me to, I can post links for free resources for this stuff. But it's simply on Google, you know what I'm saying? Free human design chart. I got a few apps that I use that's free. I haven't really used like Google a lot to find it. I've really just been using like apps and stuff like that, but a lot of the apps I use is on the App Store. So let me know if y'all want me to drop some free links. I can surely drop some free links and everything like that. Y'all can get to, get to discovering some things. Let me know if you already know what your profile is. If you have a 3-5 or you have a third line or a fifth line, let me know. Let's talk about it. But yeah, this is King. I'm signing off, and I'll see y'all in the next one.